Most people make the same money mistake at the start. They try to be smart. They open Fidelity, see thousands of funds, and think, if I pick the best one, I'll win. So they compare past returns, they pick what looks like the top winner, and they feel proud for about 5 minutes. Here's the problem. That move is a trap. When you only compare what already went up, you usually end up chasing yesterday's news. You ignore small fees that quietly eat your gains. You switch funds when the market feels scary. And the worst part is not losing money in one day. The worst part is losing years. Years where your money could have been growing. So in this video, I'm going to give you a simple plan. I'll show you 4 Fidelity Index funds that many long-term investors use as core tools. I'll explain what each one is, what it does, and who it is best for. No fancy words, no guessing games, and no promises because the market never gives guarantees. But you will walk away knowing how to pick strong tools, keep costs low, and build a setup you can actually stick with. And one more thing. Near the end, I'll show you the simplest way to put these together so you don't feel like you need 10 different funds to be diversified. If you're ready, let's start with the first tool, because this one is like buying a small piece of the entire US economy. Picture 2 people, same age, same pay, same goal. They both say, I want a better future, but they choose different tools. Chris opens an investing app and tries to find the best fund. He scrolls, compares charts, and picks what looks like the top winner. He feels smart. Then the market drops. The news gets loud. Chris gets nervous and switches again. He keeps doing something, but his money doesn't get much time to grow. Dana does the opposite. Dana picks a simple tool and sticks with it. She adds money on a schedule. She ignores the noise. She doesn't try to be perfect. She just stays consistent. And over time, her money grows because it finally gets a chance to compound. That simple tool is often an index fund. An index fund is like a big basket. Instead of buying one company, you buy small pieces of many companies at the same time. That helps because one company can fail, but the whole basket can still grow over many years. And later in this video, at minute 10, I'll show the simplest setup most people should use so you don't feel like you need a perfect plan to get started. Now, if the goal is to grow without guessing, we start with the biggest slice of the US. The first fund is Fidelity 500 Index Fund, ticker FXAIX. This fund is built to follow the S&P 500. In plain words, it holds the 500 biggest US companies. So when those large companies grow over time, this fund can grow too. It's broad, it's simple, and it has a very low yearly fee, which matters because high fees quietly take money out of your pocket every year, even when you do nothing. FXAIX is a strong core fund for many people because it gives you instant variety across many industries without you having to pick winners. But there are trade-offs. This fund can drop hard in bad years because the whole markets drop hard in bad years. And it focuses mostly on big companies, so you're not getting much exposure to smaller companies that might grow faster in some periods. Here's the key idea to hold in your head. FXAIX is a simple way to own a big piece of the US economy at a low cost, as long as you can stay calm during market drops and hold for the long run. And in a second, I'll show you the US fund that feels like FXAIX but more complete, because FXAIX is great, but it skips a lot of smaller companies. That's where the next fund earns its spot. Now let's move to the US fund that feels like FXAIX but more complete. This one is the Fidelity Total Market Index Fund, ticker FSKAX. If FXAIX is the biggest 500 US companies, FSKAX is the whole US market in one basket. That means it holds big companies, medium companies, and small companies. So instead of getting only the giants, you also get the smaller businesses that could become tomorrow's giants. The big reason people like FSKAX is simple. It spreads your money wider, but it keeps costs very low. And when you invest for the long run, keeping costs low is like plugging a tiny leak in your bucket. It doesn't feel dramatic today, but over years it matters. Now here's the trade-off. Because FSKAX includes smaller companies, it can swing a bit more. In some years, those smaller companies can fall harder. In other years, they can grow faster. That's the deal you're making when you choose the whole market instead of only the biggest names. And this is where I want to reframe a common myth. More funds doesn't always mean better. A lot of people think if I buy 5 or 10 funds, I'm safer. But sometimes that just means you bought the same thing in different wrappers. The goal isn't to collect funds. The goal is to build a clear plan you can stick with. Next, I'll share the fund most U.S. investors ignore and why that can be a mistake. Because if all your money depends on one country doing well forever, that's a risk people don't notice. That brings us to the Fidelity Total International Index Fund, ticker FTIHX. This fund is a basket of companies outside the United States. Think Europe, Asia, and many other places around the world. The main reason this fund belongs on the list is not because it always beats U.S. stocks. It's because the world doesn't move the same way every year. Sometimes the U.S. is the star, sometimes other countries lead. And since nobody can predict that shift with perfect timing, owning some international stocks can help balance your plan.
But we need to be honest about the trade-offs. International investing can feel slow. It can test your patience, and it can have more ups and downs sometimes because different countries deal with different problems like currency changes, politics, and local slowdowns. So this fund is not for people who need quick results. It's for people who want a stronger, more balanced, long-term setup. And here's the identity shift that matters. A steady investor builds a plan that doesn't depend on being right. You don't need to guess which country wins next. You just need a plan that can handle different seasons.
Now, the easiest fund for people who don't want to manage anything is next. Because if picking and balancing funds sounds like homework, this next one is the done-for-you tool. Now let's talk about the easiest option on this list. This one is built for the person who says, "Mark, I want to invest, but I don't want to manage this like a second job." These are the Fidelity Freedom Index funds. Think of them like a one-button plan. It's one fund that holds a mix of U.S. stocks, international stocks, and bonds, and it changes over time as you get older. When you're younger, it leans more toward growth. As you get closer to retirement, it slowly becomes more careful, trying to reduce big swings when you might need the money sooner. The big benefit is simple. It's automatic. You don't have to decide how much U.S. to hold, how much international to hold, when to add bonds, or when to rebalance. It does that for you. And for a lot of people, that's not just convenient. It's the difference between actually investing and staying stuck in research mode forever. This is also where I want to reframe a myth. Simple isn't lazy. Simple is strong. A simple plan that you follow for years beats a perfect plan you quit after 6 months. But there is a trade-off. Because these funds are designed for the average person, they may get safer too early for some people. That means they may start adding more bonds and reducing stocks at a time when you personally still want more growth. Some people are totally fine with that. Others feel it limits upside. So the real question is not, is it good or bad? The question is, does it match the kind of investor you are? And in a minute, I'll show the 3 easiest ways to put these together so you can pick one simple path and stop overthinking. Setup A is the one fund US plan. You choose one core US index fund and let it work. That means either FXAIX, which is the 500 biggest US companies, or FSKAX, which is the whole US market with big, medium, and small companies. This setup is for the person who wants simple and is okay with a US-only approach. Setup B is the 2-fund balanced plan. You pick one US core fund, FXAIX or FSKAX, and then you add FTIHX for international stocks. This setup is still simple, but it spreads your risk across the US and the rest of the world. It's for the person who wants more balance without turning their portfolio into a complicated mess. Setup C is the one-fund, hands-off plan. You choose a Fidelity Freedom Index fund with a target year that matches about when you want to retire. Then you keep adding money and let it adjust over time. This is for the person who values ease, wants fewer decisions, and knows they're more likely to stay consistent if the plan is automatic.
And one quick warning that can save you from a common mistake: don't buy everything just because it's on a list. These funds overlap. They can repeat the same stocks. The goal isn't to collect all the tools. The goal is to choose the tool that fits your plan and then use it well. Because even the best setup fails if you do one thing at the wrong time. The real enemy is almost never the fund. It's the moment when the news feels scary and your brain says, do something. That's when people sell. Not because they did the math, not because their goal changed. They sell because it feels safer to stop the pain right now. And that one choice can break years of progress. Remember Chris and Dana? Chris watches the headlines like a weather report. When the market turns ugly, he jumps out to wait until things calm down. But the market doesn't send a text that says, hey, it's safe now. So Chris waits, and later he buys back in after prices already moved up. Dana feels the same fear, but she does one simple thing instead. She keeps investing. She keeps adding, and she doesn't touch it in a storm. That's the simple rule. Invest, keep adding, and don't touch it in a storm. You don't have to be brave, you just have to be consistent. So here's what to do next in the simplest way possible. Pick the setup that fits your life, then stick with it long enough for it to work. Quick recap. Fund 1 was FXAIX, the basket of the 500 biggest US companies. It's simple, broad, and low cost, but it can drop hard in bad years, and it's mostly big companies. Fund 2 was FSKAX, the whole US market basket. Big, medium, and small companies. It's still low cost, but it can swing a bit because smaller companies move more. Fund 3 was FTIHX, the outside the US basket, with companies from Europe, Asia, and more. It helps you spread risk because the world doesn't move the same way every year, but it can feel slow and it can be bumpier at times. Fund 4 was the Fidelity Freedom Index funds, the done-for-you option that changes over time as you get older. It's simple and automatic, but it may get safer too early for some people. Now, tell me in the comments which setup fits you best, A, B, or C. Setup A is one US fund, Setup B is US plus international, Setup C is the one fund, hands-off plan. And if you want the next step, don't miss the next video. Next, I'll show the simple percentage mix I'd use at different ages, 35, 45, 55, and 65 plus, and the one mistake people make with bonds that quietly holds people back. If you found this helpful, like the video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next one.